Cole Custer and HAAS make it official. Will Hailie Deegan be joining them in the Xfinity series? And Kyle Busch promises payback to Corey LaJoie. Let's get into it. Coming up next. What's going on, everybody? Hope you're doing good today. All right, Tyler Reddick got the pole for Indianapolis as I'm making this right here, so he will roll off first when that race starts tomorrow at 2:30. But in between, there was some news that came out. So first things first, let's get to this Kyle Busch story. And this comes from the Pat McAfee show where he was talking about the Corey LaJoie situation.
So here it is.
So I'm over to the right. I just shoot off the screen there. And so that's Corey to my inside. And I was blocking him. Well, we're already like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm the fifth car. I'm 5 wide. And then you'll see down here on the bottom right of the screen, the yellow line will start coming up. And so Corey's like, well, I got to get back on the racetracks. There's the yellow line. And so instead of just blending in behind me and making sure that he doesn't crash the whole field,
he clips you.
He just clips me. And like, that's like stupid. Like, what are we doing? We're going 190 miles an hour into that corner and we're going to wreck each other?
Yeah, and now you're wrecking 6 other people as well, because obviously at that speed, you're not just going to be able to stop. You're going to be sent elsewhere.
So you can see right there, he describes the wreck, and he talks about how terrible of a move it was for Corey LaJoie. They were 6 wide. Corey LaJoie had no chance of making that work, and instead of just getting back in line, he decided that he was not going to lift or anything like that, and just put it back in line and wreck the whole field. Like I said, didn't make a whole lot of sense. I still don't understand why Corey LaJoie did what he did, but Kyle Busch elaborated and continued on further from that.
And that's the second time he did that this year. He did it to old 7-time Jimmy Johnson at Kansas.
Okay, so do you guys have a conversation, like a players-only meeting, like a drivers-only
No, I didn't even know. He texted me, and then he called me. I didn't even reach back out because he changed his story 4 times. So I'm like, you're just a liar. Like, you wrecked me. Like, I get it. It's fine. Whatever. Payback's coming.
So there you go. He said he changed his story 3 or 4 times, and he's just a liar, and that payback is coming. So let's break that down just a little bit. I do agree. He did change his story a bunch of times. He had 3 or 4 different stories as this event unfolded. I think when he saw the social media backlash, that's when Corey LaJoie was like, oh, I thought I had room to fit it back in there. Blah, blah, blah. That, and also he probably didn't want to get fined because of what his crew chief said. So he was probably also, it's a combination of 2 things, social media backlash, and he doesn't want to get fined from NASCAR, lose points, whatever, so on, so forth. So I think that is the first part of why Corey LaJoie's story changed quite a bit. The other part of that, though, Kyle Busch coming in here and saying that he's going to pay him back. I don't blame him for saying that. I don't blame him being upset. But it's not necessarily the smartest move, because now you've got premeditation. Once NASCAR sees that, if you make any contact with Corey LaJoie on the racetrack, you're probably going to get fined. You're probably going to get suspended, which leads me to my next point. I don't think the payback will necessarily be immediate. Kyle Busch still knows that he can get into the playoffs. I think if he gets into the playoffs, if he wins a race, I don't think he's going to be able to point his way in. It would take a mathematical miracle for that to happen. But if he can win a race and get into the playoffs, I don't think the payback will come necessarily anytime soon. It definitely won't come back this weekend at Indianapolis. It's too fast of a racetrack for that type of activity. But I think if you see a situation where Kyle Busch misses the playoffs, I think 100% in that scenario, in that situation, Kyle Busch would pay back Corey LaJoie. So I think that's the situation where it would be the most recent. The other way I think it happens is if Kyle Busch makes the playoffs, he forgets about it until the beginning of next season. Then after Daytona, sometime after Daytona, Kyle Busch would pick a time and opportunity to get his payback with Corey LaJoie. So interesting, but he saw it definitely the way I saw it. Corey LaJoie should have lifted and just blended back in line. And I don't blame him for being upset at all. I think anybody in his position would be upset with that particular move. But that's not the only part of his time on the Pat McAfee show that people are talking about. So let's get to this other quote as well.
Does your car suck or no? You have a good car.
Our cars have not been that great right now. We're working on it. I mean, we've come to a lot of things of what we're kind of learning about and figuring out. Last year we were good. Like, I joined RCR. We won 3 of the first 15 races or something like that. It was pretty good. And then we haven't won since. So it's been a bit of a dry spell. So we're working on it.
And that's not.
So you see the first part of that, and that's the part that everybody is latching onto, where he says our cars are not really good right now, and that fits with the narrative of everybody, just downgrading RCR this season. But he did say last season they were very good, right? So the cars were good last season, and somewhere they have gotten off. But I think the second part of this is where people are not really putting as much attention, as much focus as they should be putting, because he seems optimistic. He said, hey, we're working to make things better. He seems in a very relaxed and calm place. Like, he's not the frustrated Kyle Busch that you've necessarily seen. So does he know something? Does he feel confident that they will get the cars back to being fast? Or does he know something? Austin Dillon said there are big things coming for RCR behind the scenes for 2025 and things like that. Does he know something that we don't know? Because he seemed in this interview very, very relaxed about his opportunities at RCR possibly improving going forward. So I thought that part of the quote that nobody's really talking about is getting kind of interesting. Via Bob Apocris on Twitter, Cole Custer will return to Cup in 2025 in the number 41 for Haas factory team. The team will remain with Ford and have a tech alliance with RFK Racing. So there you go, the 26-year-old 2020 Rookie of the Year in the NASCAR Cup Series, reigning defending Xfinity Series champion, 14 wins in the Xfinity Series, 4 of those in the last 2 years since he came back, and obviously the championship we just mentioned. So I think he has shown enough in the Xfinity Series to prove that he is at least deserving of another shot at the Cup Series, because you've seen a lot of drivers move back down to the Xfinity Series after being in Cup, and they don't necessarily give it the same effort or have the same desire to win races. For whatever reason, you just don't see it work out the same way as before they went to Cup. Well, Cole Custer has gone back down. He's won a championship. He's continued his winning ways. He's leading the points right now as we speak. So I think he is more than deserving of another shot at the Cup Series. But that's only one part of this story. Like, we already knew this, and he's going to be running the number 41. That's the other big part of it. But, so we know the number. Everybody was like freaking out about the number, and they're going to stay with Ford, and that's the part that actually I want to talk about. So they're staying with Ford, and they have an RFK alliance. I like the alliance with RFK, because since Brad Keselowski has taken over, it took him a little while to get him running, but the last 2 seasons, this season and the season before, RFK has found its stride. Last year, both drivers finished top 10 in the final point standings, 7th and 8th respectively for the 17 and the 6 drivers. And since they've been on this upswing, they've had 4 wins combined. So I do like not only this for Haas factory team, but I like it for RFK, because now they have another quality Ford team. They have a good driver that we've seen from the Xfinity Series in Cole Custer, at least statistically. I know some people still don't believe in Cole Custer because his dad's rich or whatever, or runs Haas factory team. I get it. But statistically in the Xfinity Series, he is a good driver. So now you have quality data points you can get the same way Penske gets data points from the 21. This expands RFK's data points that they can get research. So no longer is RFK necessarily a 2-car team. They're now getting the data from Haas. And if some people believe the super tight alliance with the 51, technically that would make them a 4-car race team. The 15 car for Rick Ware Racing still not where it needs to be. So I don't know how quality the data points are there in the 21. Harrison Burton with the Penske deal. People are going to be like, I don't know if Penske's getting good quality data from there, but you get what I'm saying. They're getting 4 data points, 5 if you want to count the 15 car. So I think this benefits RFK just as much or more than it benefits the Haas team, but it's going to establish Haas. You know, they will have good equipment when Cole Custer is sitting in it. So Haas looking to be in pretty good shape, even though they're going to be a single car team. This quote from True Speed Communications. On his way to winning the Xfinity Series championship last year, Cole really carved out an identity for himself on track and off. He brings home trophies and races people clean. He's earned a lot of respect from his peers, and he's a genuine personality whose hard work resonates with our customers. The NASCAR Cup Series is tough, but Cole is coming back wiser, tougher. We're happy to have him in our colors and in our race car. So that was Gene Haas giving his seal of approval. He is happy that Cole Custer is back driving for his factory team as well. But that wasn't the only thing the Haas factory team had to talk about. This from Dustin Long at NBC Sports. Haas factory team has had conversations with Hailie Deegan regarding an Xfinity Series ride. The president of the Haas factory team said the organization has had conversations with Hailie Deegan for one of its 2 Xfinity rides for next season, and we believe there's more in her. The Haas factory team is an offshoot of Stewart Haas Racing, which will cease operations next year. Haas factory team announced Saturday it will field the number 41 car for Cole Custer next year. The organization also will have 2 Xfinity teams in 2025. So there you go. The two Xfinity teams will remain. They will keep it a two-car operation over there. And if Hailie Deegan goes to one of those seats, and Riley Herbst is rumored to be going to the Cup Series as well, where he lands is anybody's guess. But that opens up two seats. And the other conversation is it going to be Harrison Burton over there with Hailie Deegan? I still don't know if that would be the greatest situation for Hailie Deegan, unless they're going to bring a third car over there on occasional events where you would get a veteran in there to give them feedback, because both of those drivers are still pretty young. I don't know necessarily that would be the greatest situation. I think you would have to have a veteran driver over there. But it does lead some credence to all these rumors we've been hearing about Hailie Deegan going to the Haas Xfinity Series team. Let's see what else they had to say about it. Joe Custer, president of Haas Factory Team, confirmed conversations with Deegan, who was out of a ride after parting ways with AM Racing earlier this month. This was Deegan's first season in the Xfinity Series. The 23-year-old didn't start driving stock cars until 7 years ago. She's had success in ARCA, but not much in the 3 truck seasons. She scored the best debut of female driver in both Truck Series and Xfinity Series 2020 and 2022, respectively. So there you go, 23 years old. She's only been driving stock car type vehicles for about 6 or 7 years now. And as always, with all things Hailie Deegan, one side's going to be super excited. Hey, Hailie Deegan, good news. And the other side is going to be like, we don't like Hailie Deegan. We wish she would go away. That's just the Hailie Deegan conversation. That's the way it goes. She's a polarizing driver for whatever reasons. I don't know. It really doesn't affect me one way or the other. I think I'm the only person that's just like, it's just another driver out there. Everybody else seems to have these really strong opinions. Either they really like her or they really don't like her. So I don't know. It is what it is. It's a non-story to me, but every time I talk about it, like, a lot of people care. So I'll talk about it again. Anyways, that's all I got for you on this one. If you made it this far, I would love to have your subscription. If not, I'll just keep making these things. And if you're already subscribed, you know I appreciate you all as well. If you got a question, comment, or anything like that, leave it down in the comment section. I try to get to as many of them as I can. And if you want to help out the channel, visit the merch store. The link is in the description when I remember to put it there. I've forgotten the last 2 episodes, but I will put it in there this time. And other than that, thanks for your time. Enjoy your weekend. Peace.